Hey guys, it's me again, Miss Levy, and we are here to do the Chapter 6 Key Issue 2, Why Do Religions Have Different Distributions? The review video. We're really focusing on they have different distributions because of the difference in terms of their origin, the way they diffuse, their holy places, and their calendar. So let's talk about the difference first, just in general, between universalizing and ethnic religions. Well, we can look at the difference and why they have different distributions. It's because of their different purposes as faiths. Universalizing, the purpose is to appeal to everyone. The purpose is to diffuse and spread. Ethnic religion, the purpose really is to preserve the traditions and cultures, elements of a particular group of people, particular culture group. They're not necessarily purposely trying to diffuse or appeal to anyone. So that's one of the main reasons why they have different distributions. So when we look at the differences between universalizing and ethnic religions, let's talk about the general difference between the two, and let's look at them in terms of origin, diffusion, holy places, and calendar. So when we look at the origin in universalizing versus ethnic, universalizing religions, that origin, where it was founded, tends to be in a very precise place, and it tends to be tied to the events in the life of the founder. Whereas ethnic religions, that origin, the location, tends to be unknown or unclear, and the timing is typically not in one particular time. It's not at one particular time. It's over a series of time, and it's usually not. It's typically not tied to a specific person, but credited of a group of people, and it evolves over time. When you look at the differences in the diffusion between the two, in a universalizing religion, it tends to diffuse from specific hearths to other regions in the world, including when we look at the main universalizing religions of Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. They have all also diffused into Asia, and then obviously North, South America, and all continents from there. Whereas ethnic religions tend to remain clustered in one area because they lack missionaries to go out and spread the message. When we look at holy places, because of those differences between the two, holy places for universalizing religion, the holiest places tend to be holiest in cities and other places associated with the founder's life. They don't have to be near each other, nor be with the environment, and they tend to encourage pilgrimages within the faith to these holy places. Whereas in ethnic religions, because there's no single founder, they tend to derive their holy aspects from the distinct physical environment of its hearth, and they also encourage pilgrimages to those holy locations. And then as we look at the calendar, again, because in universalizing, so much of the origin is centered upon that particular founder, and so much of the faith is centered upon the experiences of the founder. The holidays tend to relate to events in the founder's life. Whereas in ethnic, because there is no one founder, there is no one point in history of the founding, the calendar tends to be based on the physical geography of the land, tends to be based on the agriculture seasons, so planting and harvesting seasons, solstices, and the climatic seasons. So let's take a look at some specifics. So today we're focusing on the three main universalizing religions of Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism, and then the ethnic religions of Hinduism and Judaism. So as we look at Christianity and the origin, so first let's start with the origin. In Christianity, the origin, the founder was Jesus, and this would have been sometime around 25 to 30 AD. And these areas would have been in Jerusalem and in Bethlehem. Both of these are in present-day Israel. When we look at the diffusion of Christianity, because again, it is a universalizing religion, the point is to diffuse. It diffused through relocation and expansion diffusion. expansion from the European Roman Empire, so from conquering, but also from missionaries. So it spread through missionaries, just migration of people, through trade, and through conquest. The holy places in Christianity, the holiest places tend to be associated with the life of Jesus. Again, we see this in most universalizing religions where the holiest places tend to be tied to the life of the founder. And so those holiest places are in Jerusalem and Bethlehem, which today are in Israel. And the calendar, the holy days and the calendar tend to be based on the life of Jesus. But you also see the importance within the Christian calendar of the agriculture, so farming, the planting and the harvesting seasons, the solstices, and the seasons, so the climatic seasons. Next, let's discuss the universalizing religion of Islam. And so, first of all, of these 5 faiths, Hinduism is the oldest. Of the 3 monotheistic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Judaism is the oldest. Then Jesus was a Jew, and Jesus was the founder of Christianity. So you do see some influence in Christianity from Judaism. Then in Islam, Muhammad and people in Islam, Muslims, they believe that Jesus and the other disciples, that they were disciples of God, and they prayed to the same God. They believe that Muhammad was the last and final prophet of God, and his teachings are written in the Quran. So you do see some influence of both Judaism and Christianity in Islam. Whereas Hinduism is the oldest of the faiths in India, and Siddhartha, who was the founder of Buddhism, Siddhartha was a Hindu. So you do see a lot of Hinduism and the influence of Hinduism within Buddhism. Okay, so back to Islam. So when we look at the origin of Islam, the founder is Muhammad. This would have been around 60 AD, and his life centered on Mecca and Medina, both in Saudi Arabia. And then he also traveled to Jerusalem, which is in present-day Israel. And we will see here where many of the conflicts over the Holy Land lie, because we see the same sacred locations, holy locations in Christianity, Islam, and then you will see this in Judaism as well. Islam did spread the same way that Christianity spread, from relocation and expansion to fusion. So through missionaries, people going out and spreading the message because they both proselytize. Through migration, people moving and taking it with them. Through trade and through conquest. Conquest is how it spread through much of northern Africa. The holiest places in Islam, they are associated with the life of Muhammad. So these holiest places, the holiest is Mecca. Of all cities in that pertain to Islam, Mecca is the holiest. Then Medina and Jerusalem are also very holy, sacred cities. The calendar is based on the life of Muhammad, and it is also lunar, so phases of the moon. Let us move now to the last of the universalizing religions, which is Buddhism. Founder of Buddhism is Siddhartha. This was around 530 BC in today what would be Nepal. And Siddhartha, he was a Hindu. He was of a higher caste, and he went on a journey looking for a life without suffering and sorrow. And as he went on his journey, he had multiple experiences, and these experiences became the teachings of Buddhism. Buddhism did also spread the same way as Islam and Christianity. It spread through relocation and expansion to fusion. Ashoka the warrior was credited with spreading Buddhism. Now, Buddhism did relocate basically from the hearth in India and Nepal to East and Southeast Asia. Buddhism is the only universalizing religion today that is not strong at its core, at its origin. It also spread through trade and missionaries. It relocated from India to East and Southeast Asia. The holy places in Buddhism, The 8 places that were important in Buddha's life are the holiest. Most of these are in India and Nepal. And the calendar in Buddhism, mainly is centered around the major holidays celebrating the life of Buddha. Next are our 2 main ethnic religions. The largest ethnic religion is Hinduism. Hinduism is the oldest, dates back to about 1400 BC with a group of people, the Aryans. This was in India, so roughly about 5,000 years ago. And just like most other ethnic religions, it has no single founder, it has no single origin, and no single point in time when it was founded. Because it's ethnic, did not diffuse much beyond its hearth in India. The holy places are closely tied to the physical geography, may be tied to a specific god and goddess. Hinduism is polytheistic. They believe in the purification in rivers. The Ganges River is the holiest in Hinduism. This is going through most of India. The calendar is centered on the agriculture season, so planting and harvest, and also the climatic seasons. Finally, we have Judaism. Judaism, it is an ethnic religion. However, it does have some differences to other ethnic religions. Founder of Judaism, some credit Abraham as being the founder, and that this would have been in what was called Palestine, also called Canaan, which today is Israel. So all basically the same geographic location, different naming. Palestine, Canaan, and Israel, about 4,000 years ago. Now, Judaism did diffuse, but it diffused because of the forced migration called the diaspora, where the Jews had to scatter in order to preserve their own survival. So this would have been with the Romans and the persecution. So they did have to spread. They did have to diffuse because of persecution. So the diffusion is different in Judaism than it is in the other, than in the universalizing religions, because universalizing religions purposely want to diffuse. Judaism only diffused because of this persecution. Judaism, just like Hinduism, they don't go out and actively seek people to convert to the faith. The holy places, there are some that are similar to Christianity, like Jerusalem and Israel, Bethlehem, Nazareth. And the Jews believe that they are God's chosen people because they did make a covenant with God. The calendar for Judaism, it is lunar, so phases of the moon. It also highlights the importance of agriculture, the planting and harvest seasons, and physical geography as well. But also, there are holidays that are highlight the history of the people, the Jews, and their experiences. For example, Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year. Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. This finishes up our review of 6.2, Why do religions have different distributions? Please make sure that you review this chart while you are studying.